The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to CX Through the Eyes of the Consumer webinar presented by SmarterCX.com. Staff members Paul Leone and Samantha Hosler, kicking off the 2018 Pipeline Pros Virtual Summit. Before we begin, I would like to share a few housekeeping notes. All attendees have been placed in listen-only mode. If you have any technical issues during today's webcast, please troubleshoot those using the chat feature. If you have questions for the presenters today, please insert those into the questions module. We will hold all questions until the end of the webinar. Now, at this time, please sit back and enjoy today's webinar. Paul, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining. My name is Paul Leone. I am the head of digital marketing for Oracle CX and SMB, and the executive director of SmarterCX.com, which is our virtual newsroom, which we've launched about 3 months ago. Unfortunately, today, Mia is unable to join. She is sick, but with me today, I have Samantha Hosler.
Hi, I'm a marketing innovator with the CX division of Oracle, and I'm happy to be presenting with Paul.
So thank you, Samantha, for joining me, because this was last minute, and we value your commentary. Samantha's been a contributor on SmarterCX.com and has really been pushing forward on a lot of innovation projects for us on CX, and so she has a lot of data that she's going to be able to add to the presentation. So let's move on. So as I said, SmarterCX.com, presented by Oracle, is a project we kicked off in September. And really the main thought process was that at Oracle, we have so many incredible people who are doing great things. We have smart minds, we have thought leaders internally. We work with some amazing partners. Our client roster is just flat out incredible. And it puts us in a position of authority to really contribute to the CX conversation. And when we were looking out at content that we liked in the marketplace and trying to find a place that was really talking about the consumer journey holistically from start to finish, and that's across all of the different touch points, one big thing we saw is that there was a lot of conversations going on that were specific to products, but not really anything that holistically spoke to the entire journey. So we saw ourselves as being able to fill in that gap. And more than anything, we wanted to create content that we weren't finding and content that we enjoyed. And that's really where the starting point for Smarter CX is. And over the course of the last 3 months, we've seen an amazing engagement on site, but also just it's been an incredible way for us to reach out to partners and influencers, internal contacts, and use it as a springboard for those conversations. And I think we're going to publish our 100th article at the end of the month. We've had 17 contributors from partners outside of Oracle. And we're really looking forward to continuing that and being able to bring in some of the voices who are aligned with our clients, our customers, our internal partners, and really just kind of amplify that message. And that's really where the starting point of the page was. So today we're going to talk about Smarter CX. We're going to get into AI and CX personalization and when that gets creepy. We'll be playing a few videos that we have already posted on the site and going over some customer feedback that we had that went into it. Sam's going to add a little color. We have some survey data that we've recently gotten from a CXO survey that we did, and we'll be creating a tool and publishing that content sometime in February. We're going to look at omni-channel shopping trends across generations, speaking specifically about millennials versus baby boomers, which, not surprisingly, is a topic that gets everyone hot and bothered. Anytime we use the word millennial, it seems like everyone either wants to tell us how much they hate them or how much they love them. But being that most of us are in that millennial generation, I think we have a different outlook on it, but going to get into that. And then we're going to look ahead into 2018 and some of the trends that people are expecting in the CX space, and just what we've heard from analyst partners and customers, as well as our internal outlook on what we see coming up for 2018 and beyond. So as I said, Smart CX by Oracle is a destination for professionals who are building the next generation of customer experience. Here they can find breaking news, in-depth analysis, expert insights, and useful tools that will empower them to think and work progressively. So really focusing on thought leadership, trying to take a lens away from that Oracle selfie point of view and look more towards the marketplace and what's going on. So really trying to get away from strictly a product conversation and more a trends, an implementation, an outlook, and creating that place where people can come and get insight that kind of spans across the entire CX landscape. We are first and foremost marketers, so we're very in tune with a lot of the content we're talking about. And as I said previously, a lot of what we're doing is trying to create content that we want to read. A lot of what we're doing is video heavy. We do a lot of infographics. It's very graphical, and really trying to also, as much as possible, find the research and find the insights from real people and use that to tell our story and build that narrative of how customers are interacting at the ground level, especially on the commerce side, where there's just so much great content and so much great technology to talk about right now. And always accepting new contributions. If you are interested in learning more or learning how to become a contributor, please reach out to me and we can share that contact information afterwards, or Mia McPherson, who's our editor-in-chief. Like I said, so far out of 100 pieces of content that we'll be publishing in the first 4 months, probably about 20% of that's going to be from external contributors, and really ultimately we'd like to have that be closer to 40%, because I think that one of the biggest things we can offer from a partner is the opportunity to come in, amplify your voice using our Oracle channels, which just have such great reach, and really hit on those audiences that we want to be engaging with. So it's a really great opportunity for us to provide a platform that people can contribute to. And some of the highlights are the Smart CX cartoons, which I was just looking at the stat the other day, and it's actually our 3rd most trafficked page. Brian Pope, our director of video, actually had a hidden cartoon talent that we brought out, but we'll actually be showing some of those over the course of the presentation. March is National Women's Month, and we're going to be celebrating that by doing a Women in Tech series. We currently have about 15 to 20 pieces of content collected from just some amazing women, both from Oracle, external, our partners, our customers, and we're really excited about putting that into the market, because I think some of the stories they're telling there just really resonate, especially with the current times. Predictions is something that we've put a lot of work into in January and are going to continue to talk about. We've been working with several analysts and are really trying to key in on that as a key differentiator that we can provide. And then Smart CX Virtual Summit, which is going to have all the content that we go over here. If you check it out, you'll be able to get more in-depth analysis on some of the things we're going to move forward talking about. Samantha?
Nope, that's great. Great overview.
Excellent chime in, Samantha. I really appreciate having you here. So, as I mentioned before, our cartoon section is a very big draw. I went there. Draw? No? You don't have to get animated about it? No? Okay, I'll move on. So we're going to move in talking about personalization, but this was a cartoon really just talking about the push towards more and more personalization, and Carl is getting his own sale in this one. But we are going to start off with the video. So we went to Grand Central Station and around the library in New York City, and we asked customers, when does personalization become creepy? And we did this around Halloween, so it has a Halloween theme to it. But what we found was really interesting, especially, as we've already said, coming from marketers, always trying to push the envelope of how we make sure that we're generating the right message, right time to the right person, getting it in the right channel, and personalization is just such a big topic right now. So let's go with the video.
Hi, I'm Mia McPherson with SmarterCX.com, and I'm here in New York's Grand Central Terminal talking with people about their customer experiences.
I guess for me, that would be when if somebody or a brand were to talk to me about my kids and knew enough, I think that would bother me. That would be a little too much.
It's like, I feel like they're asking for information that, like, I feel like isn't necessary.
When it's something I've talked to somebody about in an email or in a chat, and I get an ad for it, that's what I feel leery. I don't like that. Especially older people are more wary of sort of the creep factor of, like, how did they know that about me?
It would have been possible I gave that information, but if I didn't remember or if I wasn't sure, that would probably be crossing the line.
I've never dealt with anything that I felt was too creepy.
I always feel weird when they ask for your phone number, because I'm like, why do you really need that?
Once information gets out, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right?
I think they've been doing it a long time. We just know now.
I think I would probably just sit and be really angry and frustrated and make the same mistake again somewhere else.
I think it's the way it is, and it's going to be that way. So just don't talk about too many personal things.
So there's actually a cameo there by Brian Pope, who does our cartoons. But as you see, the reaction to personalization is much different, and some people are very concerned with things like don't talk about my kids or don't ask for unnecessary info. But at the same time, you saw one of them mention phone number being creepy, and from a lead generation perspective on our side, we know the phone number is one of the most important things we can collect and is, really a standard field. So different perceptions in what is creepy is definitely is on a person by person basis. And when me and I were talking about this, I always go back to Arthur C. Clarke's third law, which is any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And you think back at the first banner ads run on Yahoo in, I think it was 95 for AT&T, and they had a 44% click-through rate. And, I think any marketer now would probably be high-fiving their agency if they could get a 0.44 click-through rate. So as we move towards being able to use more data, there is kind of a push for being able to do so in a way that is cutting edge and advancing what we're able to do. But there's always that balancing act between doing so in a way that feels like it's a value add, that you're pushing people to the right type of content, that you are creating experiences that you're enhancing through use of data, and not just using data in ways that feels intrusive. And as we're able to use more and more different ways of retargeting, first-party data, third-party data, I think that there's going to always be that give and take on what we are able to do and what we necessarily want to do. And I think Mia gave a really good, or Mia was going to give a really good story about, she was looking for snow boots this weekend, and she found a pair, and those pair of boots were following her all over the internet with retargeting ads. And at that point, Mia really wasn't looking for an ad for that pair of shoes again. What she really wanted to try to figure out is what are the right type of socks for that. And so it really was a kind of eye-opening moment as a marketer, the idea that giving additive content as opposed to just trying to continuously push the sale might have been the catalyst that would have gotten that sale. If the marketer was trying to figure out different ways to engage her, knowing what she was paying attention to and using that data in a way that drove that conversation forward, as opposed to constantly looking for the conversion, they might have gotten the conversion. So we're going to move forward to another AI and CX personalization slide. This one, we actually asked experts, how can brands avoid being creepy?
Yeah, and I actually think that's a good point, Paul, is that we are retargeting, we're retargeting with these offers, but you're hoping on the chance that an IP address will work and that you're going to give a message, but half the time it's not really relevant. So customers are getting annoyed by that. I think marketers, as we're getting annoyed by that. 33% of us marketers say personalization is an initiative for 2018, but their confidence isn't in the right spot. So what we found in the CXO leadership study that we conducted earlier is that confidence is really high in the art of customer experience, which is, we're able to design a good UX. We're able to target people with an offer they've been looking to shopping, but we're not actually applying the science behind it. So being able to collect data that's relevant, that can be used to make the offer more personalized. Only 32% of CX professionals have access to all the data they need to actually understand a customer. So, how can we take that data, apply it, and actually give an offer that makes sense to the customer that's seeing it? So, we have here, but don't forget the human element, show empathy. All these gated forms, for instance, we're using, back to phone numbers. I still get confused why we're collecting addresses when direct mail is dying out and we could be using those boxes to get more personal data from them to do something in the future. So make sure you're providing value, make sure that the customers know you're thinking about them, but get more creative. Don't just do these generic offers. Make sure you're applying something that hits to their heartstrings and makes it think that you know them and care about them.
And the empathy thing is a really great point, and it's so much easier to do that in a brick and mortar environment. But definitely had a great experience with the retailer recently, where I was in the store. From the store, we went online, and I had to send something back, but the store sent me a personalized message afterwards, a handwritten note. That's not necessarily always going to be the case in the digital environment, but it is that ability to have empathy and make the transaction feel more human that really resonates with consumers. But going to play another video. This was, is AI going to obliterate our jobs, which is one of actually the most viewed articles. There's actually an excellent LinkedIn post on the Oracle LinkedIn showcase page that generate a spirited discussion about whether or not the Terminator is going to come in and take over.
We're not in a world where all of a sudden the bots are going to take over and run the world and start killing us off, and we need John Connor to come in and save us. AI doesn't want anything. Yes, it learns, but human beings still have to point it in the direction it's supposed to learn from. That's what human beings still will be doing for a long time to come.
So moving forward, yet another cartoon. This is one of the first ones, but one of my favorites. So omni-channel shopping trends across generations. I mentioned that millennials, super hot term. Every time we put it out there, we get a lot of feedback from the Twitterverse about whether or not millennials are the worst generation. And as millennials, we kind of take a little offense to that, but it creates really spirited conversation. And the insights that we gained when we were doing these interviews were actually super consistent. Millennials who have grown up on the internet using online shopping experiences didn't have the same draw to brick and mortar that we found with the baby boomers. But here's a quick video, also filmed on the streets at NYC, just showing two different perspectives on the online and in-store shopping experience.
One of the downsides of purchasing online is obviously you can't see, feel, or touch the product.
No, it is not necessarily important for me to see and hold an item before I buy it, as long as I can come to a relatively certain idea of what it is and how it works.
So the millennial, obviously, in that particular video was more into the online shopping experience, where the baby boomer has a more traditional approach. But the stats kind of don't necessarily speak the same way. 62% of millennials shop in store at least one time a week, though click and collect is popular. 74% of baby boomers prefer to shop in store. And what we just saw, the second gentleman was more saying that he didn't need to touch and feel before purchasing, where the baby boomer really had needed more of a visceral, tactile experience with the product that he was purchasing. And I think really one of the biggest takeaways is that every customer's reason for going in store is different. So, whether you're going in store to evaluate a product before you go online and purchase it, whether or not you are using the brick and mortar experience to actually make your purchases, I think that we're going to see shifts, and we continue to see shifts in how people shop across the generations.
And, I'll jump in here. I'm a millennial. I'm probably at the end of the millennial spectrum and not the lower end. But I recently had a ton of issues shopping online. And I don't know if it was because it was January and everyone's going after snow boots, for instance. But I missed the instant gratification of being in store. So there's something to be said about being in store, being able to get it immediately when you want it. However, most times stores are sold out now. They're trying to supplement, online shopping. So I find more of what I want online, but I'm missing that factor of just being able to leave the store in the instant I want something. So I think that it is super important for companies to be focused on that omni-channel experience and being able to easily transition you from whether you are in store trying to get that, and if they're sold out, getting you to get it online. So figuring that out and having that top of mind, I think, is super important for meeting customer expectations these days.
And a couple other slides here. This was actually part of a research study that we did a couple months back, but 31.7% of millennials want to see a mobile experience more closely aligned with the store. 30% of baby boomers have seen the same retailer charging less online than in store. The desire for innovation, 27% of millennials are keen to be helped by robots in store. That's interesting. Robots in store. Pepper selling me a pair of shoes. 20% of baby boomers want location-based services to find items in store. So a lot of this research is available on smartercx.com. And if you follow the link, smartercx.com/virtual summit, all of these articles are actually online, so you can get a little bit more insight. And Mia actually went to the Ulta store on last week, and this is where she was going to talk about her in-store digital experience. But as you can see here, there was a display that allowed her to try on different types of makeup. She had been wanting to go into the store for a while. It's actually right by her apartment. So getting to go in and create content for SmartCX was actually a big thrill for her. We'll be creating video content on this sometime in the near future. But I think this really speaks to kind of the digitizing of the experiential and making online experiences a little more empathetic and more human. And we're seeing a lot of brands that are doing this right now and with great results. And it's something that I think is going to be much more prevalent in the near future. And it's really something that probably most brands are striving to do. But a lot of the times it's all about trying to get to catch up with the technology, and this is really the technology that we'll be seeing probably moving forward with more retailers. Another cartoon. This is the drone Alexa Tooth Fairy. And so moving into CX 2018 and beyond. So we consulted with subject matter experts across industries for their 2018 predictions, and this is an ongoing thing. Again, some of the articles that we have on this are going to be located at that smartercx/virtual summit link. But one of the big things we're seeing is an increase in customer advisory boards, which will be used to inform sales teams. I think Oracle does a tremendous job of this and is doing really great things in terms of being able to reach out to our customers, figuring out what works and being able to apply those learnings moving forward. Content marketing will become a blend of experiential, live video chatbots, plus old school long form print. I think the biggest takeaway that we had here from that is when we looked at Smarter CX, we really saw being able to create a breadth of content. Sometimes you want to consume something via video, sometimes you want the longer form content, and really thinking about that in terms of device type. You know, I might be more willing to read a long form article sitting on my couch with my iPad, but maybe not so much on my commute in, where I'd rather just see a video and get the context really quickly. So I think a lot more of being able to identify from a device perspective how we serve people content is just as important as making sure that the content we're serving is the right time, right place, right person. And the advice that we've gotten is to press pause, evaluate your systems and readiness for new tech like AI and machine learning, and to be self-aware, looking inward, asking the right questions, looking outward for feedback, figuring out from a consumer's perspective, how is your experience benefiting them? What are the pain points in that experience? And then figuring out how you make it more cohesive, how you integrate your software solutions so that from a customer's perspective, once again, your customer service is indistinguishable from magic, that you have all of the different touch points along that consumer journey mapped in a way that feels like it is a completely integrated experience, and honestly, doesn't feel like it's dealing with software at all. And again, this goes back to the empathy.
And I do, just to jump back, I do want to put focus on this customer advisory board, because I think this is something extremely important to hone in on. You know, when we did our survey, 65% of respondents reported having solid understanding of what their customers expect out of an experience, but we don't really know how true that number actually is. By creating these advisory boards, if you will, which I think is a huge prediction for 2018, you're going to have that direct line to your customers. You know, customers are everything. They're going to be impacting everything from product development, how you're changing products based on feedback, to how you're changing up your marketing, to your sales teams, commerce teams, service teams. So I do think that this is something we'll be hearing a lot more about. And again, you know, I'm sure there'll be a lot more to come on Smarter CX about it.
So our tagline, your CX is about to get smarter. I open the floor to questions.
Again, if you have questions, please insert those into the chat feature or the questions feature on the console. We'll wait just a minute to see if any questions come through. In the meantime, while we wait for questions, if you don't mind, go ahead and advance to the next slide about Modern CX. So just a reminder for folks who are interested in attending the Modern CX this year, it is April 10th through the 12th. Also, if you are a Pipeline Pros, because you're attending the PipelinePros Virtual Summit, all attendees do have an additional savings that they can take advantage of using the code DPIPE18. And that's DPIPE18. It will actually secure you the $9.95 registration rate, and that goes all the way through the conference. So I think right now the going rate is $15.95, but by attending the virtual summit and being associated with Pipeline Pros, you can save up to $600 off of that registration. Now again, that's DPIPE18. And the next slide. It's actually a slide build, I think. So if you are interested in submitting your organization for a chance to win a marquee, it is your chance to shine. So the entries will be open, are currently open from January 8th until February 12th. So feel free to follow the link on the screen or email info@pipelinepros.org for more information about submitting for the marquees. Next slide. Seeing that there aren't any questions that have been submitted so far, I want to go ahead and begin to close out. Just a couple of reminders from the Pipeline Pros. The Insight 18 conference will be coming up in Denver, July 30th through August 1st. The call for speakers is now open, so submit your presentation if you'd like to receive a complimentary pass to the conference. Insight registration does open on March 1st, and members, if you are a paid member of Pipeline Pros, does save up to 60% on registration if they register before the early bird deadline of June 14th. Also announced this week is Insight Europe. So the Pipeline Pros team will be coming to Europe, coming to Lisbon, Portugal, September 17th through the 18th. The call for speakers will open on February 19th for that particular event, and registration will begin on May 1st. Again, we want to thank everyone for attending. We want to thank Paul and team for presenting today's webcast. At this time, we will close the webcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.